All right, everybody, welcome
back.
Welcome back, guys.
Welcome back.
Welcome to the NADCL.
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 To the NADCL.
To NADCL.
To NADCL. It's the North America Dota 2 Challengers League.
Or just run away.
The Bleak dead. The Bleak has no buyback.
Go, kill him. We can kill him. Nice. Good shit. Good fucking shit. Good fucking shit. Go, they bow back. Get out.
Jenkins low on the run. X marks the spot. Big crit coming out here through from Gunner, I believe. And now they've got the torrent landing onto 3 of these heroes.
I don't understand this top. You see this ogre? They're just taunting each other. Oh god.
Oh, he's gonna try. Whoa, hey there. He's gonna try to go for it. He jukes. Tornado EMP should be able to juke it. Will it be enough to get the kill? Oh my god, he has him under tower. He just played him.
BSJ, if you ever do that again, you're kicked from the team, you little shit.
What?
Very nicely played by Monkey King. Oh,
no way.
He's gonna live. He's gonna live. He lives.
What? Sheer.
What a player.
Yo, I'll be back.
Keep it PB, boys! Keep it PB, boys!
This is gonna be one of those Chinese rice farmer games, right? We gotta like tend the patties for another like. Oh, that was really stylish.
Look in the
Dude, Venom is spotted. Dude,
Look at a Venom play Dota and oh, now you.
the Venom is dead, dude.
Right, because we always ban Terrorblade, Wyvern, and Weaver, right? So we never see these matchups ever. Because Jake hates these heroes more than anything.
Oh, look mid.
Oh
Gunner.
my god,
Combat.
Prepare for a lesson.
Because they're coming to get it, boys. Down to play drop.
Oh my god!
What a fucking They're just fighting each other straight up. Oh, he's gonna ulti him. What a nice play.
It's like whatever, because, like, see, oh my goodness!
Now they'll find the Winter's Curse. This comes through onto the Bane. They'll get the kill. Baby B Kid's gonna be cold embraced. He's healed up, but Symbol taking so much damage. Gunner's got a double kill. Is this Gunner going on a rampage once again? They look over to Turkey's down to half health with the Shiva's guard placed down, but the Ancient is not gonna be able to stand, or will it? Triple kill for Sammy Boy. Ancient's just down on the other side. Creeps came in. I didn't even notice.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the NADCL Playoff Pre-Show. That is right, as you just saw right there in that great video, a highlight of the season that was. A season that started nearly 2 months ago. It's actually been quite a fun season, of course, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed the season that has been. Well, we got the playoffs now going to be coming up just around the corner here. In fact, they kick off this weekend. And, well, the show here today is not only to take a quick look at those playoff brackets and how they're shaping up, but also just to look back at the season and give you information on how it ultimately played out as a bit of a recap, of course. Obviously, there were a lot of matches that took place, but again, from watching those videos, I'm sure you got the idea. Essentially, the NADCL, a league for the North America Dota players, especially ones that are still trying to make it on the top tier scene, and it's given them great opportunity, and I think it's safe to say season 1 so far, and no doubt will continue to be a success in the long run right here. So later on in this show, we are going to be joined by a couple of players from a couple of different teams, in fact, and then kind of get their input on how the season went, how it was like to play in the NADCL, and what they think about it moving forward down the line. But part of the NADCL is, of course, the prize pool that's on the line. And speaking of that, one of the cool things about this league was you viewers at home had the chance to help support the prize pool. You know, similar to the compendium on a much lower scale, of course. But you can either support the prize pool by essentially just simply subbing to the channel that you're watching this on, or even donating in the link that you can click below, of course. And whatever your donation is, as they mentioned in the video, I believe it's the 50% goes towards the Season 1 prize pool, and then 50% goes towards that Season 2 prize pool. So yes, there is plans to be a Season 2 already that should be happening. So once again, as mentioned, the playoffs are going to be just around the corner right here. So as far as the 4 teams that are involved in the playoffs, taking a closer look, we have one of the star teams that's definitely stood out throughout the season in Vendetta. They're going to be taking on Black Sheep, and then Team will be going up against Truffle Salts. Now, obviously, you look at these team names and may not be the most familiar necessarily with the players on them. Well, again, that's what we're here today to kind of go over as far as who's playing for which team. But as you see right there, the brackets, it's a pretty simple format. However, the group stages, is all about the round robin. All the teams played each other in a best of 2. And there you go. You take a look at the final standings and how it's shaped up. So again, those top 4 teams moving on, the bottom 4 being eliminated. You do notice at the bottom right there, Runes, their name is crossed out. They had to pull out of the event earlier on in the season after competing. Unfortunately, with schedule conflicts, they did obviously qualify for the minor that took place for Dream League. And honestly, that's really what this league is about, developing said players and giving them an opportunity to make such events. So ultimately, they had to pull out of this event, but it's still really cool, no doubt, to see that they were able to do so well and qualify for the event that was the Dream League. But, taking a closer look, again, as far as the teams that are going to be competing in said event, we'll start with Vendetta. Now, Vendetta is an interesting situation. They, by far, have the biggest roster. They've had to use a fair amount of stand-ins through the season. There have been some ups and downs as far as the roster changes go, but ultimately able to claim that 21-7 record to actually qualify in the end. But currently, as it points out, we have Sammy Boy, Gunner, Slayer, Robot Vice, and Lokarn is their starting 5. But you do have several players that has been on their stand-in list, including Blitz and Capitalist, believe it or not. Obviously, great players still, and have been able to play with them throughout the season. But they are the number 1 seed, and they're going to be matched up against Team. Now, Team, just to be clear, there is also another Team that qualified for WESG. It's not that same Team. I know it can be confusing. Stay with me right here. But as far as Team in that second spot, their roster is Scourge McDuck, Husky, Evidin, Save, and Fun, of course, with their stand-in player Avatar has actually stood in for them as well throughout the season. You also notice Truffle Salt. That's that logo that was showing right before. Of course, PPD pouring that salt into his hand. Truffle Salt, the great team. In my opinion, probably the greatest name of these of the NADCL first season. But you're looking at their roster of Venom, Ush, MJW, B, and Grand Grant. So, of course, yes, the Grand Grant has been playing with this team throughout the season. Also, I've heard Venom as far as a core player. He's a younger North American Dota 2 player, and this is one of his big shining moments as far as his early career. And like I've talked about, and we've seen throughout the season, that has been a big part of what the NADCL truly is about. So that's Truffle Salt for you. And then the 4th team that, of course, qualified for the playoffs, you're looking at Black Sheep. We got the roster of Kenny, Bloody Nine, Zero, Frempo, and Old Yoda. Bloody Nine, definitely a recognizable player, has been around a little bit and competing at least in the higher level pubs. All these players, obviously, great players and no doubt higher level tier pub players in the end. So those are the top 4 teams that are moving on. Once again, it will be Vendetta versus Black Sheep, as well as Team versus Truffle Salt. The winner of those best of 3s will play in a best of 5 grand finals. All of that is set to take place this Saturday, the 24th, as well as the finals then being on the 25th. Now, there is an ESL event going on as well with the ESL qualifiers. Obviously, it's a busy season, a lot of other events going on, so they're going to try to do their best to schedule around that. So we don't have the exact times just yet, but that is the plan for those playoff matches to be happening this weekend. Now, it goes without saying, another thing that's obviously really interesting about the playoffs taking place right now this weekend, it will be post 7.20. So it is a different game in a lot of ways, as we all know. We've all been experiencing that just over 24 hours ago. The patch did come out, and boy, did it change quite a bit. So although these teams qualified in these spots, I think it's safe to say, and I speak for everyone, anything can happen when it comes to these playoffs. And already going into it, we're pretty evenly skilled teams on top of that. So I'm no doubt looking forward to it this coming weekend for the NADCL playoffs. Just general Dota competition, especially post-patch, is going to be a lot of fun to watch. So again, a pretty simple format right there. Now, there were the teams that competed that, of course, did not make the playoffs. Still worth going over them, give you an idea of, again, how they placed. With that in mind, the team that just got short and finished in that 5th place spot, we're looking at Will Reckon While... What is their full name? While Whistling. That's what it is. Yes, the great WWWW. Fantastic name right there. As I'm being a little bit sarcastic. As a caster, that's one of those names I'm not the biggest fan of having to say when catching them, but it is what it is. Their roster, you're looking at Zizzy, Brink, KVH, Frogos, and Derp, with stand-ins from Whitebeard and The Two throughout the season. Zizzy, he's obviously a player that has been around a little bit as well, from Mexico. One of the more standout Mexican players in the North America Dota 2 scene, and that's a region that we've also started to see a little bit of development from. In fact, there's another team, what is it, Team Zolotol, I want to say it is, that is, from the Mexican region. I believe they did participate at least in the WSG qualifiers for that region. So it's really cool to see, not only from United States, of course, but all of North America, Mexico and Canada obviously included. So Will Reckon While Whistling, however, coming up just short. They finished in that 5th place spot. Then you go down tied with them actually at that 5th place spot. So also coming just short, Bermudan Frogs with their roster of Oceana, Sheer, Pingu, Dubla, and Kevin. Now, Bermudan Frogs, we will actually be joined by Dubla and Pingu, at least that's the plan, a little bit later on in the shows to talk about this season, and looking forward to that and having some fun with them. And then last but not least, we already mentioned Runes, of course, but Blue Pikachu, the 5-man roster that they play with, they finished in that 7th place spot with that 9-19 record. Versatile, Pick Slater, Ryan Ree, Chives, and Alren is the roster we're looking at right there. Now, apologize if I didn't announce the names 100% the way they're supposed to be. There's a lot of names right here. Doing my best, of course. Now, with all of that in mind, I think that's actually kind of a nice transition. I don't know if they're ready just yet, but we were also going to be joined by some Blue Pikachu players, Alren and Versatile.